The metal walls of the emergency capsule hissed open like a dying breath. He lay inside, broken, half-burned, and suspended in a reddish cryogel that clung to his skin like memory. The pod had drifted through deep space for 12 days after the final human assault on Virix Prime, an assault that ended with Commander Rian Holt detonating a reactor core to save the fleet from annihilation. They told stories of him dying a hero, but death wasn't what he got. She stepped into the recovery chamber like a whisper through shattered glass, blue-skinned, taller than any human woman, and wrapped in a flowing mesh robe that shimmered like nebulae. Nurse Liara, of the Vehlari order, moved with an eerie calm. Her voice was a haunting, melodious hum like music, pressed into the bones of the room. It stirred something in Rian before his consciousness could catch up to it. "Human male," she murmured, her fingers grazing his neck. "Alive, damaged, beautiful." The attending drones buzzed behind her, relaying diagnostics in crystalline glyphs. But Liara didn't care for numbers. She cared for rhythm, the pulse beneath broken flesh, the way breath fought to return. The strange resilience of carbon-based men who traded their lives for victory. She'd never touched one before. Vehlari nurses were trained in bioresonant healing. It was more than medicine. It was sensual, reactive, deeply personal. It required full-body proximity, pheromonal synchrony, and nerve-to-nerve communion. And it was considered forbidden between enemy species, which was exactly why she locked the chamber. Rian stirred, eyelids twitching against the low gravity. A faint groan escaped his throat. Liara lowered herself beside him on the surgical platform, her fingers spreading across the scars of his chest, like a sculptor reading ruined marble. His heartbeat responded to her touch, a wild, pulsing She smiled. "You refused to die," she whispered. Typical human. It wasn't contempt, it was intrigue. Her lips hovered near his ear as she initiated the bonding field. Warm pulses radiated from her skin to his, lighting his pain receptors like fireflies. His eyelids shot open. He gasped, first from the shock, then from the heat. Where? "Safe," she answered. "For now." His pupils locked onto her face. Celian, radiant, terrifying. But what stunned him more was the emotion behind her gaze. Curiosity, hunger, a flicker of something more primal than protocol. "You're not supposed to help me," he croaked, voice frayed. "And yet, here I am." She leaned closer. "In this war, not all wounds are treated the same. But yours, ... yours sang to me." That voice, it vibrated through his ribs, coiled in his spine. It made the cold edges of the world soften. He tried to sit up, but his strength failed. "Easy, hero," she said. "You gave yourself to the stars. Now let me give something back." This was no ordinary medical intervention. This was sensual nourishment. The first of many protocols in the Vehlari's erotic healing art. Her fingers traced his sternum slowly, each press releasing waves of warmth into his nervous system. His body, wired for war and scarred by sacrifice, began to unravel beneath her touch. "I was dead," he muttered, blinking. "I remember the blast. You were beautiful in your final moment," Liara said, brushing her thumb over his jaw. "But this, ... this is more beautiful." His mind stuttered between pain and desire. Her scent, like iron and jasmine, filled his lungs. She reached for the dermal interface beside his head, activating the neural sensory feed. He twitched the pulse surged through him, reading every trauma like a musical score. She hummed in harmony. Her voice shaped the data into sensation. "I can feel what you've lost," she said, "so I'll give you something else to feel." He laughed, but it caught in his throat. "You're not a nurse," he said. "You're a siren." "Maybe," she whispered, eyes locking with his. "But in this intergalactic love story, I want to know what makes a human break, and what makes him melt." She pressed her palm to his chest. The warmth deepened. Their breathing fell into sync, and just like that, the power began to shift. This wasn't a human hero being nursed back from death. This was a Vehlari, healer seducing life back into a man who dared defy the stars. Rian had fought through asteroid sieges, breached wormhole anomalies, and killed with a glance at 20 meters. But none of that prepared him for what it felt like to be held, not restrained, not sedated, held by something so impossibly soft it made his war-hardened body tremble. Lyra's touch wasn't medicinal. It was devotional. The medchamber faded around him. Her humming had changed, no longer diagnostic, but seductive, drawing emotion from beneath his armor of instinct. It wasn't just alien nurse erotica. It was something more ancient, a ritual that blurred the line between healing and hunger. "Why would you risk touching me?" he asked, voice hoarse but steady now. "You're kind, Vehlari. You know what I did. You sacrificed everything," she said softly, fingertips stroking the ragged edge of a grafted rib. "Your enemies fear that. I admire it." His breath caught. She wasn't just talking about heroism. Vehlari nurses were not trained to feel, but Lyra had always been different. She sang when others silenced, lingered where others left. She studied the humans, not with disdain but longing. When they'd captured Holt's body floating near the nebula graveyard, she hadn't seen a corpse. She'd seen poetry. Her voice dropped an octave as she leaned over him, warm chest pressing lightly to his bandaged side. "The protocols require intimacy, neural entanglement, pheromone exchange, and your ethics board," he rasped, teeth clenching. "Would have me sterilized," she whispered against his neck. "But I've already disobeyed. Might as well feel it." A pulse erupted where her lips brushed his skin. It wasn't lust, it was something deeper, more primal. The connection. This wasn't just HFY Sci-Fi Erotica, it was a power reversal romance. He, the warrior who once commanded fleets, now trembling beneath the hands of an alien nurse who wanted his vulnerability. She let her fingers slide down his side, mapping scar tissue with reverence. "Your body," she said reverently, "is a symphony of pain and purpose." "And yours," he whispered back, teeth grinding, his fire in a cold metal world. Their gazes locked, the sensor lights dimmed. Something primal clicked. She climbed onto the platform beside him, straddling, without weight, robes flowing around them like starlight silk. "Let me teach you how we heal, Rian Holt." She called him by name. It wasn't a seduction anymore. It was an invitation into something sacred. Her skin pulsed with bioluminescent threads, dancing in rhythm with his pulse. The dermal fields sparked between their hearts, a syncopated signal that drew breath and heartbeat together. Lyra pressed her forehead gently to his. Images flashed in his mind, Vehlari birth rituals, sensual recovery rites, interspecies bonding is sacred and sensual. "What you feel now," she whispered, "is no simulation. This is how we mourn the dying, and how we awaken them again." She wasn't stealing his strength. She was giving her own. With each breath, his broken tissues knit together faster than the autosurgeon ever could. Her body, perfectly tuned for restoration, was pouring life into him through contact, through scent, through heat. He exhaled a groan, half pain, half wonder. "You're not what I expected. You're more than I hoped," she replied. The hum grew louder. Her hands moved in practiced circles over his abdomen, spreading bioheat through him. She sang to his nervous system, not with words, but with harmonics. His spine arched involuntarily. Not in pleasure, not yet, but in surrender. This was the core of human-alien romance, not domination, not fantasy, resonance. "I can't believe you're doing this," he muttered, gasping. "Neither can I," she said, and her voice cracked for the first time. Real emotion, not rehearsed. She wasn't just treating him. She was falling with him. "We shouldn't be here," he said. "We already are." They moved together, barely touching, but it was more intimate than anything he'd known. The field around them shimmered violet. The biosensors exploded with light. He reached up slowly, painfully, and traced her jaw with a hand that had once fired nukes. "You're real," he said. She nodded. "And I'm not dead. Not yet." His fingers cupped her face, trembling. "Then save me." She closed her eyes and kissed him. Not for protocol, not for data, but because in this moment, under the hum of starlight and the scent of salt and steel, this sacrificed hero romance wasn't about duty, it was about desire. The kiss didn't taste like war, it tasted like starlight, like everything he'd fought for but never dared to want. Her lips were soft and cool, but the warmth behind them, the slow, blooming heat of something ancient and intimate poured into him like fire through frost. Rian Holt, former fleet commander and human war hero, wasn't being healed anymore. He was being rewritten. Her breath caught as his hand curled behind her neck, pulling her closer. The biofield around them shimmered with pulses of light, reacting to their rising heat, their entwined signals. Every nerve in his body flared awake. The pain was still there, but it had changed, become part of something sensual, something sacred. Liara pulled back only slightly, eyes locked to his. "You humans, ... you fall with your whole body. Only when we're caught," he whispered. Her smile was pure Vehlari, mischievous and mournful all at once. "Then let me catch you properly." She slid down his body, fingers trailing like comets across his skin. The dermal bandages peeled away with a hiss. What was left beneath wasn't pretty, but to her, it was art. A landscape of sacrifice. The marks of someone who had given more than flesh. "I feel your pain," she murmured. "But it doesn't frighten me." "And yours?" he asked, voice low. She paused. Then slowly, she unfastened the upper clasp of her robe, revealing the faint scar that ran from her collarbone down between the glowing markings of her chest. A wound from a war long before his, in a sector humanity never touched. "We're not so different, Rian Holt," she said. "My people called me broken, useless. I wasn't meant to serve in this quadrant. But I chose exile. I chose you. You didn't even know me. I heard your heartbeat before I saw your face." He shivered. Not from cold. The bond between them wasn't chemical anymore. It was emotional. And intergalactic love stories like this, they didn't come from policy. They came from choosing. The one thing forbidden on both sides. Intimacy. Her fingers found the edges of his. Cybernetic implants, the places where human engineering met organic flesh. "You wear your survival like armor," she whispered, "but I can hear the music underneath." He raised an eyebrow. "Music?" She smiled, then leaned in again, her lips brushing his throat as she hummed low and slow. The vibration traveled down his spine and through his bones, a strange and sensual kind of therapy. His cybernetics responded not with rejection, but harmony. The implants glowed. SYNCED. Her voice had turned metal into music. "Bioresonant harmonization," she said, softly. "Vehlari nurses can use voice to realign cellular fields. But with you, I didn't have to try. Your system wanted to match mine. Sounds like seduction science. Sounds like fate." He couldn't take it anymore. Rian surged forward, arms weak but desperate, and pulled her into him. Their mouths met again, deeper this time, hungrier. She moaned softly into him, an alien sound, but achingly familiar. His hands moved along her back, feeling the shiver in her spine as their bodies pressed together. This wasn't just alien nurse erotica. This was a power reversal romance that burned like a nova. He, once the indomitable human weapon, now trembling in the arms of someone who should have left him to die. And she, a healer from a race who'd sworn to never touch the enemy, now clinging to him like he was oxygen. Their robes tangled, her skin lit in glowing blue circuits where he touched her. He tasted her shoulder, the sharp sweetness of alien pheromones spilling over his tongue. It made him dizzy. "Alive, Liara," he groaned. You're going to kill me. Not tonight. She lowered herself over him slowly, carefully. Every inch of contact a blend of comfort and hunger. There was no dominance, no fear. Just two bodies sinking across a gulf of blood and grief. Choosing desire over duty. They didn't speak for a while. The only sounds were breath, the soft hum of biosensors peaking, and the quiet sighs of two souls, breaking past biology. When it ended, she didn't move. She lay atop him, fingers drawing circles into the scar beneath his ribs. Your body has stabilized, she whispered, but your heart is still irregular. He smiled weakly. That's your fault, she chuckled, pressing a kiss to his chest. Maybe I want it that way. A long silence. Then she looked up at him, eyes darker now. They'll come for you, Rian, for both of us. My people don't forgive betrayal, and mine don't forgive mercy. Their hearts pounded in unison. For now, the war was paused, but outside this sealed chamber, the universe still burned. The sterile glow of the med chamber now felt like a fragile sanctuary, one heartbeat away from collapse. Rian lay back, his chest slick with warmth, the taste of her still on his lips. Liara sat beside him, her legs folded beneath her robe, tracing faint glowing patterns into the air like she was trying to memorize him. Before the world reclaimed him, they know, she whispered, not looking at him. His throat tightened. Your people, my superiors. The moment I locked the resonance field and triggered full-spectrum intimacy protocols, they would have sensed it. Her fingers stilled. What we just did, it registered as union. His breath caught. You mean, we're bonded? Rian, biosynthetically, emotionally. Vehlari don't heal this way unless we mean it. The weight of her words dropped like gravity, returning. This wasn't just a sensual act. It was sacrament, a declaration, a defection. I don't regret it, she said, eyes finally meeting his. But it changes everything. Outside the chamber walls, alarms began to whisper in distant frequencies. Drones paused mid-air, scanning for authorization codes that would never come. The sterile silence cracked with tension. I didn't come here to fall in love, he muttered. Then why did you let me fall with you? She asked. He couldn't answer. He didn't have to, because this wasn't just an alien nurse erotica fantasy anymore. It had become something far more dangerous. A sacrificed hero, romance, but not just his sacrifice, now hers too. Liara stood, suddenly regal, suddenly, ready. They'll override the lock soon. I can't stop that. So what do we do? She looked at him like the answer hurt. You leave. He blinked. What? There's a Vehlari smuggler ship docked on Subdeck 9. My access codes can get you to it, but only one of us can. Board before they collapse the sector. He sat up, flinching at the pain. You want me to run? I want you to live. No, you're the reason I broke my oaths, Rian, she snapped. I chose you. Don't make that meaningless. But, he was already shaking his head. You saved my life. You taught me to feel it again. I'm not walking away from that just to watch them erase you. She stepped toward him, trembling. If you stay, they'll dismantle your memories cell by cell. They'll make you forget what this meant. Then let them try. Silence. She touched his cheek again, softer this time. Why do you humans always fight? Because it's the only way we love. He reached for her hand, pulling it against his chest. His heartbeat was erratic, loud, alive. I'm not going without you. Her breath shook. You'll die. Then we died together. A long silence. Then something shifted in her eyes, not surrender. Resolve. Then follow me, she said. And don't stop running until the stars go black. They moved fast, him leaning on her, her guiding every step with impossible grace. The medbay hissed open. Drones turned. Red sensors scanned them both. Unauthorized bonding detected. A voice boomed. Biological deviation logged. Subject Lyra, a Vehlari order. Stand down. She did in single quotes T. Instead. She raised her hand and unleashed a frequency pulse so sharp it shattered the nearest drone mid-air. You forget, she whispered. We nurses know how to kill, too. The escape became a blur of corridors, sirens, broken oxygen panels. He couldn't keep up, but he didn't stop. Not while her scent led him. Not while her voice shouted commands that turned doors into allies, and tech into tools. They reached Subdeck 9. The ship waited, humming in stealth mode. But before the hatch could open, a figure appeared at the end of the corridor, armored. In obsidian, with Vehlari, runes glowing like warnings. Lyra, the commander said, voice like thunder. You've gone too far. She stepped forward, shielding Rian behind her. No, I've finally gone far enough. You bonded with a human, the figure hissed. I loved him. And in that moment, Rian realized this wasn't just a human-alien romance. It was a revolution, disguised as desire. The commander raised a hand, palm glowing with execution light. Rian stepped beside her. No, he growled. You'll have to come through us. The power dynamic cracked open, no longer nurse and patient, now partners equals lovers standing at the edge of extinction. The corridor surged with tension plasma conduits flickering, AI sensors blinking in nervous rhythm, and between it all, two figures stood defiantly side by side. Rian Holt, human war hero turned fugitive, chest still bare and burned from battle, and Lyra the Vehlari nurse who dared to make his heartbeat matter again. Across from them, the armored commander's palm glowed brighter, ready to discharge enough energy to atomize them both. I will not warn you again, the voice boomed. Step away from the human Lyra. But Lyra didn't flinch. Instead, she took Rian's hand and squeezed. No, she said with a voice that trembled, not with fear but fury. I won't step away from what I chose. I've spent years healing warriors I couldn't touch, soothing wounds I couldn't feel, and for the first time, I felt everything. I belonged. Not to a doctrine, not to a command, but to him. The commander's voice shifted colder now. Then you've sealed your fate. Lyra stepped forward, eyes alight. Then write my name in flame. Rian braced himself, preparing to lunge, knowing full well his strength was fading, but something deep in his bones still surged. Because this wasn't just a fight for survival. It was the climax of an intergalactic love story. The final chord in a symphony that began with sacrifice and burned toward freedom. Lyra raised both hands, and she sang. Not like before, no sensual hum, no gentle vibration. This time, it was war. A resonance call so powerful, it fractured the reinforced corridor glass and dropped two drones from the ceiling. The commander staggered. Rian's implants surged with heat, responding instantly to the familiar frequency. His joints locked, then snapped into motion. He was hers, completely. Not owned, not bound, chosen. She turned to him, voice raw. Together. He nodded. Always. The two charged forward, not as soldier and nurse, not as human and alien, but as something new. The first impact was brutal. The commander's blast singed the floor where they'd stood a second earlier. Rian moved low, fast, driven not by muscle memory but instinct, awakened by love. He tackled the commander, sending them both into the wall. Lyra struck next, her palms glowing, frequency blades humming from her fingertips. She sliced through armor like a surgeon through flesh, precise, elegant, final. The commander dropped to one knee, damaged but not defeated. You think love will protect you? He growled, blood trailing from his mouth. No, Rian said, staggering to his feet. But it gave me something worth dying for. Again, and with that, he punched his fist into the fractured panel on the wall, triggering the emergency blast. Shield behind them. The ship's hatch hissed open. Lyra screamed. Now. They ran behind them, The corridor lit up with explosive retaliation. The blast flung them forward into the cargo bay of the smuggler vessel. The hatch sealed. The ship trembled, then launched hard and fast into the stars. Inside, silence. Vehlari collapsed against the inner wall, chest heaving. Blood trickled from reopened wounds. Liara rushed to him, hands already glowing, tears threatening to fall. "I've got you," she whispered. "You already had me," he said, smiling through the pain. "From the moment you sang." They didn't need more words. She laid beside him again, not in passion this time, but in presence. Her body wrapped around his, heartbeats sinking, warmth bleeding between them. For hours they drifted in silence, hidden in the black between galaxies. Two fugitives, two traitors, two lovers. Eventually, Rian stirred. "What happens now?" Liara smiled, tired but free. "Now, we disappear. Maybe find a moon to hide on. Maybe teach the stars what love looks like." He chuckled. "Sounds like a terrible plan. It's ours." He turned to face her. "You turned metal into music, Liara, and you," she whispered, brushing his lips with hers, "taught me that even warforged men can be soft in the right hands." Their foreheads pressed together, one last harmonic pulse passing between them, not healing, not power, just home. And somewhere in the silence of space, the galaxy shifted, not because of war, but because of what they chose to feel instead. Because in the end, the greatest rebellion was love.